National Match Jesse going here for one last time today. Summer School of Chess. This is PogChamps 3, and we got one more game to look at today, and that is the matchup between MoistCr1tikal and Ludwig. Or Ludwig. I'm not sure how he pronounces it personally. But here is a picture of famous streamer Ludwig, and of course here is our favorite picture of famous streamer MoistCr1tikal in a very, very classic meme pose. Let's just jump right into it. This was an exciting matchup because instead of it being a blowout, which it was in the other two sets of games, in this set, they actually went head-to-head, and there had to be a playoff match. Let's jump right in. The first game, MoistCr1tikal is white, Ludwig is playing black, and we have another Scandinavian. Apparently a lot of big fans are bringing out that queen early, knight c3 attacks, and queen d6. Not doing the queen a5 stuff, which we see more in that our favorite movie, Searching for Bobby Fischer, but more of the latest queen d6 stuff. It's kind of odd to put the queen out there, but she tends to be pretty okay. d4, knight f6, knight f3, a6. Both of these players seem to know this opening. Bishop d3, knight c6, knight e2. Now, just for the record, this might seem like a threat because of the two attackers and the one defender, and as intermediate players we definitely should see that and we should do something about it. However, technically speaking, it's not actually in danger. If takes and takes and takes, this queen is completely unprotected, and white can exploit this lineup with bishop b5, discovery check, and black has no way to get out of check and save the queen. So they'll probably take the bishop, we'll win a queen, that'd be pretty sweet. That'd be a neat little trap to set up. Instead, MoistCr1tikal saves the pawn with knight e2, bishop g4, now attacking it again, bishop f4, ignoring the attack and attacking instead. I love it. Queen d7, pawn c3. We don't like the doubling of the pawns, but we don't want to lose d4, not just as a pawn, but as our center. Castle's queenside, h3. Now, in this position, black has been kind enough not to double isolate our kingside pawns and put the question as to where we're going to castle. We probably should take advantage of that fact, maybe play knight g3 and then h3. Instead, we kick the bishop, they go back, castle's kingside. Now, this, unfortunately, is just a mistake, okay? Remember, I can't say this enough. King safety is number one, and the pawns in front of your king are his number one defense. You have got to treat them right, okay? One of the biggest analogies I use is that if chess was football, then the king would be the quarterback and the pawns would be the linemen, okay? They want to stay nice and close where they're going to keep bad intruders out, okay? What should happen here is definitely the move bishop takes f3, g takes f3, and then queen takes h3, winning a pawn and completely shattering that kingside situation. Instead, e6, both sides just focused on that development. g4, risky, but breaking the pin. And then this move, I give a lot of applause to Ludwig for, because technically speaking, it's not 100% accurate, but I love the fact that he's trying to punish white for opening up his king like that. And I'm a big proponent of that. Punish your opponent for the mistakes that they make. If they open up their king, rip him open. Sacrifice. Go get him. Take. Take. Now the knight's in danger. Knight g3 allows that queen to kind of help out defend. Trading off only helps white. Unpinning. Yep. Yep. And I got to give it to Moist. He's doing a really, really good job. He's only defending as necessary, and he gets right back to activating his pieces. We've just got to be aware of our king here. And then, boom, powerful move by Ludwig here. Knight c5. Now white is threatening checkmate. We've got to be super careful. Knight a5. Nice move by Ludwig again. Typically, I don't like moving knights to the edge of the board, but this defends and attacks at the same time. I love it. Queen a4 threatens the knight. And then we ignore that with bishop takes f3. Love it, love it, love it. Takes. And then this one's kind of weird, but I think there were a lot of fears regarding all these pieces, and it wasn't sure, which piece to take. If we take this one, maybe here. But realistically, and this is something that I hope that Ludwig sees later, is that if this position ever seemed too risky, black always had a perpetual check as a way of getting out. For those who don't know, there are certain ways you can make a draw, make a tie in a chess game, even when you're dead lost. And one of those ways is if you can make it so your opponent cannot get out of check. Remember, check is when you put the king in danger. So, queen g4, check. The only moves for white are king h2 in here, and then check. And it doesn't matter where white goes. Check. And we can go back and forth between h4 and g4 for the rest of eternity, and white will never get out of the checks. And so we can claim our draw even though we're down a knight. Instead, in this position too, instead of taking back the knight, we should go for the draw because we're down in points here. Instead, white was allowed too many opportunities. And even here, there's still the draw. There is still the draw. But unfortunately, white was able to trade off the queens and win some more stuff. And at this point, black has basically lost. It might not seem like much. It's only 3 points. But again, all the perpetual checks are gone. White's king feels totally fine. 3 points is enough to win a game. And that's exactly what happens. Let's just jump in right to the next game. Next game, switch colors. Now Ludwig is white and MoistCr1tikal is black. And in this game, we're going to watch, I think, Ludwig strike back. So e4 here, c3. Alapin variation going for that big center, takes, g6, d5. Now this was a mistake on black's part. You know, typically as a general rule, if you see that your opponent has a full pawn center, 2 pawns side by side, you pretty much have to immediately strike back at it. Not always, but if you're not sure, err on the side of striking back against it. I'm telling you, if you have not experienced someone taking a full pawn center and just shoving it in your face and blowing you up, then you will sooner than later. In this position, Moist tries to play standard Sicilian ideas, but the simple d5, and now the most logical move. We want to save the knight. Pieces like going into the middle, this seems totally great, except when we notice that this knight has no safe squares to go to between the bishop and the queen. It is a trapped piece, and f4 attacks it, and it is trappeted. You know, there's one thing that maybe could have happened in this position, and that is the move e6. This would have set a trap, actually. And I think that Moist would have been best to do this, because then if f takes e5, there's queen h4 check, and now suddenly white's in trouble. Now white either has to move the king or play g3, queen takes e4 check, and now suddenly black is the one on top. See, this is why tactics are so important, people. Instead, we develop, we win back that knight, and now this was basically just a standard game of chess, nothing special until this move. This move, Ludwig had all the right ideas. Remember, when you're up in points, you want to swap the pieces. It's a great idea for white to pin the black queen and try to swap it with the black queen. However, in this position, the queen is only defended just enough by the knight on c3, and it's really unfortunate that black had the move bishop takes knight, check. And now white has to get out of check, and there's no way to get out of check that saves the queen. So we destroy the defender with check, and then we win that queen, and this would have been game over. Thankfully for Ludwig, this was not found. The queens did get traded off, and what ended up happening was nothing too spectacular, actually. It was a really solid game of chess where Ludwig was up in points and was able to just convert the win, just using his extra pieces, and then he found that sweet tactic with the sacrifice of the bishop and the fork on the rooks. That was really hot. Way to go with that, and then cleaned up the rest of the game, and it was pretty much over from there. So that brought us to our third and final game. They each had 1 point, and they needed to play for a playoff. And in this game, Ludwig has white, and MoistCr1tikal has black. Let's see this final game. Sicilian again, this time a little bit different. This time, we've learned our lesson. Our opponent has these 2 pawns in the center, and we strike back immediately. Now we're thinking, I like this. Takes, knight f3, and this is all looking great. I love how quickly both sides are developing. And again, look, opposite side castling. You know what's going to happen. We're going to go for those big, powerful king attacks. Both sides just developing accurately, developing normally. I will say this. I think black needs to give white a little bit more credit, just because, remember, this is an open pathway. It might not seem like it because the knights are there, but remember, when there's no pawns, it opens up those pathways. And I don't like my king on that pathway, especially when rooks can come there so quickly. It's probably a good idea to kind of mosey on over to where your pawn shield is. h5. At least they both got the memo that you should go right for the king. Bishop e5, a6. Don't push those pawns in front of your castle king. Take, b4. I'd probably just play rook to c1 there. Technically speaking, this is not hanging the knight, because that would be a nice little pin there. If anyone knows Ludwig and can find out if he saw that, I'd be very curious. e5, rook c1, and now here's the finale, unfortunately. We have got to, like, anytime that someone lines up a rook or a bishop with your queen or king, you had better notice, okay? In this position, we had sure better notice and just get out of the way. Instead, we play bishop takes bishop, which would be great in most positions, except now the knight moves and our queen is a goner. And just like we've seen in previous videos, typically when you lose your queen, it's a death sentence. And so the queen comes off the board, a second piece is lost, and it doesn't take too much effort for Ludwig to finish winning this game with this nice little checkmate there. So congratulations. You know, this, I have to say, out of all the matchups today, this was the highest quality. There were tactics and craziness and ups and downs happening from both sides. Congratulations to both the players. Extra congratulations to Ludwig for going on to the championship bracket. And yeah, I'm so excited to see some more PogChamps coming at us soon. So until then, again, I'm National Master Jesse Cohen. This is Summit School of Chess, and I will catch you soon. Bye for now.